I can say that as far as I have experienced Skopje for now, I believe it will be a lovely crowd of enthusiasts, and I believe that it will be enjoyable for all parties involved. I'm staying here only for 2 days, so obviously my experiences are not as rich as they could be if I stayed longer. But for now, I mean, everything has been very delightful, very interesting. And especially the people, I would say, that were the best. I think I can say I feel like at home here. So I think that as a writer, you suffer a little bit because you have to travel and give some talks. But every author loves his or her book, so you do it for the book, for the book to reach the audience and to have a life of its own. So I see it like that. I'm doing it for the book. I have to say my book has only been translated into English and Macedonian, and I'm grateful for every translation. I mean, of course, if there were more, I would be even more happy, but I'm just satisfied that, you know, that it's getting around, that it's reaching, that it's crossing borders and getting out in other languages. Of course, there's always that element in translation, but I believe that translation, to a certain extent, is a work in itself. So I believe in this publisher and my English publisher, and I trust that they chose the best person for the job, and that the majority of the book, or the main point of the book, got through. I don't think I'm the best authority on the subject, since for example, I am a fan of crime fiction and some old authors like Jane Austen or Charles Dickens. So I cannot really have an opinion about the contemporary scene. But as far as I can see from this lovely bookstore and from, I don't know, even from the literary scene in Ljubljana, literature is very much alive. I think there are some great new and old authors. So I'm very hopeful for this field of art, that it will prosper even in the future. For so many centuries, women were not able to be artists and authors. So this is why we are addressing this problem. But I would have to say that I think that good literature or interesting literature doesn't depend on sex. I don't dare to speculate. I mean, really, I just hope that, you know, both poles of the society will enjoy it. I'm finishing my second novel now, and of course I only wish that it will be again accepted in this in this scene. I don't travel a lot in general, so I believe that I will be coming here with a new, I mean, to accompany a new book, not for fun or anything like that.
Ова вечер имаме посебна чест да ја поздравиме нашата гостинка Јела Кречич Жижек, која што е словенечка новинарка и публицистка, која што ќе слушнете зашто е дојдена овде.
First of all, let me just thank you, Maria, and you, Ilina, for a thorough and very spirited introduction and analysis, as far as I could understand.
Maybe it's better that you do.
As for the answer to your question, I deliberately chose the genre of comedy for this novel, since I believe that today's culture is missing comedy a lot. It is becoming a culture of tragedy and devastation, but I am positive, or I could argue that comedy is actually the best way to approach the most horrible problems or events in our lives. So that's why I chose this genre. to approach a certain problem, in this case a problem of love and seeking love, in a way that is at the same time very funny and ironic and sometimes sarcastic. But did I get correctly that you also asked about the misogyny of the character? Well, I think I agree with you, if I understood correctly, that in fact I don't believe my main character is in fact a woman hater. He is more like a politically incorrect person, which has little tolerance for stupidity or even for banality of everyday life. So his responses to women are often very sharp and very sarcastic. But I think that through the process of the book, he becomes a bit more, how to say, open to differences, open to some good influences from the outside, but at the same time keeps the sharpness and his terrible attitude towards not only women, but the world in general.
Исто така го да прашам во разговорот предходно, што ќе беше ако беше женски ликот? Но кај ќе беше па тогаш како ќе се прифаташе тоа, например? Какво ќе беше реакција?
What about if it was a female character? Can you imagine that?
Yes, one idea was that the next novel should be written from the point of view of a woman that has to or goes through the same process of seeking love. But I mean, when I finished this novel, I think one of the main points of it is that you get to see very different kind of women, like 13 different types, and I believe, or at least I tried to make them as interesting as possible. So I didn't want to stereotype women, and I think that if it was written from the point of view of a woman, I don't think I could find 13 interesting types of men. So.
Намерно или ненамерно, книгата е истовремено и слика на една генерација, на нејзиниот начин, па сепак на крајот на криштата да се биде среќен и исполнет и сакан. Како тогаш и покрај се во светот во кој што живееме да бидеме исполнета личност?
This is the background of the love story, is exactly this context of a generation that is lost. And in Slovenia a couple years ago, the government accepted a certain law that prohibited employment in general in the public institutions, which meant for many young generations that they could not, get the same chances as my generation got or older generation got. And so today in Slovenia we are facing this young generation which is a precarious workforce, so they are not employed, they can only work through projects and they get very little money for that. And this is what you mean. I mean, what you see in Slovenia, and I wanted to grasp this sentiment, also because I believe it is not symptomatic only of Slovenia, but probably for the whole Balkan region also, and I think even Europe. I mean, the precarious workforce is one of the biggest problems of today's societies, and I wanted to bring that into light. I chose Ljubljana basically because I know it and I wanted the novel to feel realistic, at least in this way, that the places, the people, the conversations seem authentic in a way. And also I believe that, as I said, the problems that many people in Ljubljana are facing are the same as problems that people in Skopje are facing. So I wanted to catch that urban vibe of a certain city, but a city that is maybe also a little bit not contaminated, but influenced by its history of Yugoslavia, and but basically a city, a feeling of a city, of a modern city in this part of the world.
Of all these girls and women described in the book, are you one of them?
Did Slavoj tell you to ask me
No,
that?
no.
Well, I have an answer prepared. I think that I am in all of them. I think parts of me are basically in every one of that girl. And
This is not diplomatic answer.
is it not?
It's not diplomatic at all.
I just said I have a prepared answer, not to. So yes, I think I mean there's a lot of me in every character.
And second question, since Lashko beer is so many times mentioned, is it product placement? Did they pay you for that?
No, absolutely not. But it shows that I am a fan of Lashko pivo. So for me, as a philosopher, let's say, love is a sort of miracle. I mean, it's not something that happens every day, and I think that it is one of, as Badiou would say, a great event in life when you fall in love. And I wanted to give this story a happy ending, but at the same time not an ending that would be, how to say, Hollywood happy end or cliche happy end. So I did complicate things a little bit for Matjaž, but I still hope that the message of this unique relationship he managed to create got through. And the second question about love, probably this answers also your second question. I mean, it's hard to find love. I'm sure of it. I mean, and I don't know if anything about love can be really simple. I think that at the end, love as event is something that shakes you up, that shapes or redefines your personality every time you fall in love. That's why you fall. I mean, the word fall seems very...
It's the hardest thing for a person to allow themselves to fall.
Yes, I think it's very hard, and I mean, I can understand why for some people it's impossible to fall in love. That's why I think love is, as said, a great event in personal life, but not impossible. That is, there is also a philosophical logic in this, that, you know, in order to get to yourself, you have to get out and go into public space and meet friends in order to meet yourself or to meet another kind of yourself. There's this philosopher, Austrian philosopher, Robert Waller, who is a great promoter of public spaces, public events, exactly because it enables a person to forget about his individual thoughts or even troubles and open up to society and gain a certain pleasure that you can never gain only as an individual having all these thoughts and being alone and stuff like that. Nostalgia was a theme I wanted to take into consideration because actually here I don't have a full answer. For me it's still amazing that you have these younger generations that cherish Yugoslavia, although they were not even born in that country anymore. And in Slovenia there's a great nostalgia. You have groups of people going to Jajce every year, celebrating Tito's Yugoslavia. And I think probably the political message of this is that unfortunately today we don't have political ideas that would be at least a little bit inspiring. That, the political space is so unimaginative that people have to go to Jajce to remember a political idea that was, as it seems, much more inspiring, even though it proved to be not successful, not functional. The structure of the novel is repetitive, but at least I see that with every repetition, this process gains a certain complexity, and the more you go into the novel, the more this political themes and underneath stuff comes into light.
Дали е леснотие или уште поголем товар да го имате дома Славој Жижек за личен и прв критичар?
Well, it's actually very great. I mean, it's great that you have someone who's prepared to read your first drafts and, you know, to talk about it through with him. I do try to exploit my husband as much as possible, and in a very banal sense, he has to make me fruit juice in the morning, and in the afternoon he makes the tea. He's a good feminist. He tries to endorse my projects. Yeah, in the next book, I'll try to exploit him even more. I mean, as much as possible.
I just wanted to ask, because there is some kind of film quality in the book. At moments it sounds like it could be a good script for a movie. Have you thought about this? And if yes, who would like you to be Matthias?
Thank you for that question. Actually, when I was writing it, I was very much inspired by TV series, the quality television. So the book, I think, has this serial structure. You know, 13 girls. It's like 13 parts of
season 1, season 2.
Yeah, this is season 1. So yes, I'm glad you noticed that it's actually written much like a script. And as for the main character and Hollywood actors, I was thinking about Casey Affleck, but he is actually getting a bit old now, so we will have to think about it.
I think Ryan Gosling.
He's also getting a bit old. I mean, really.
What is old for?
But Ryan Gosling, I would accept. Can I just take this opportunity to thank also the Антолог publishers, especially Valentina and Žarko, who have made our staying here really feel like at home. So thank you.